What do you get when you throw two natural born intuitive mediums together with a passion for animals and empowerment?
Spirits, angels, and guides. Oh my. I'm empowerment medium Tara Diana.
And I am intuitive medium Nancy Brady. Together, we focus on the good,
The bad,
and the ugly of working with the spirit realm.
but mostly we're focusing on the good.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our humble little podcast that we have going here. I am Nancy Christine Brady, intuitive medium, animal communicator, and I am here with the lovely and talented
Tara Diana, empowerment medium. And if you watched our last episode, I'm still not a false prophet. So I am excited to be here. This is going to be a hard one, Nancy Boo.
This is going to be a really hard episode. We might want to just let people know there might be some triggers in this episode. We are going to be talking about, is loss different for a medium versus people? So we're going to be talking about loss and all sorts of different things like that. So raw feelings alert for everyone listening. I think, I'll start this off. Loss is not different for a medium in the sense that we all grieve equally and differently and deeply. But I find for myself, and I can only talk about the loss that I've had in my life, it is a bit easier in the sense of, for example, if someone goes naturally, like my 101-year-old grandma, where she lived a long, beautiful life and celebrated it, and I can talk to her and I can relay messages to my mom and my aunts and uncles, and she made it and she's good and she communicates with me. Where I think things get in the weeds and they get a little bit more complicated. I lost a brother to a brain aneurysm, and it was shattering and it was startling and it wasn't expected. And I feel that that's where a lot of those different feelings can come in, where we do grieve differently, even though, yes, we can communicate with them, even though, yes, as a medium, we know we're there. We know they're there, I should say. But I can tell you one thing for certain is I don't need other mediums communicating on my behalf with my loved ones until I'm ready to do it.
Truth. Absolute truth. So June 29th will be the 1 year of Ryan crossing. So Ryan, for those of you that don't know, he would be 20 now, but he was 19 when he crossed over. And there's a lot to this. He was murdered in our home by people he knew. We know this. I'm not going to get into the whole aspect of the case or anything. That's not what this episode's about. What it's about is, how are we as mediums able to handle different types of grieving? How do we go into it? And the reason we brought up this episode is because I have a lot of people ask me, you look, it's the typical things. You're doing so well. You look strong. You look good, Tara. You feeling good. And I've sat with this for a little bit, Nancy, about it. Ryan has always given signs, beautiful signs. The bear, there's so many. I mean, we could just go on and on, which was really important, especially right after he crossed, because it was such a bloody shock for us. And there's so much stuff that happened in it, right? I was away. I was trying to come home. My husband walked in on it. There's so much to that. And in that, the next day, we had to put the cat down. The next day after that, we had to put the dog down because of all the stuff that happened. And so when people say to me, you're so strong, I couldn't do what you're doing. Part of it is because I know where he is.
Right.
I know where he is. I know the energy. Yeah. I see the signs. Yeah. I feel the signs. People around me see the signs. I'm not talking about other mediums and other psychics. I'm talking about Joe Blow.
Yeah.
Right? I'm talking about, they see the signs. They feel it. I when this happened, one of the things I did, which is such a bizarre thing when I think back on it now, Nancy, was I was in Lillooet. I was in a hotel parking lot packing my bags with my beautiful Hannah Bun. She's my Staffy Cross. And I find out, I called to confirm to my neighbor. And then I called, and this is such a strange thing, but it was so important that I do this. I finally got a hold of Lynn White. Again, Lynn White comes up in a lot of our episodes because we're very close, guys.
We're going to have her on an interview. We're definitely
That's right. And I called her, and she's very close to my son. As a matter of fact, she was his supervisor. And I told her that Ryan was dead. And she couldn't understand. And the reception was cutting out and I said, I can't get into it. I need you to tell every single one in our community to not approach me with messages from Ryan. This is an hour and a half into me knowing.
Yeah.
And you know, I did that, and I'll tell you, and I'll tell the audience why I did that. Because I didn't want, and to this day I don't want, people using it as a way to get closer to me or to show me what they can do or what not.
Right.
Because we saw what happened when someone did that.
Yes.
And I don't want to change my relationships or how I see people.
Yeah.
And so Lynn, bless her soul, she even almost got into a fight with someone on full moon ceremony for it. But she did that for me. She said to as many people as she could, spread the word. This is not the time to try to come to Tara with messages from Ryan. Now, people still tried.
Well, for sure. And the people that would approach me and say, I have a message for Tara from Ryan, I'd say, no, you don't. No, but I do. I said, no, you don't, actually. Oh, I said, are you picking up what I'm putting down? So that, you know,
right?
They kind of got that. So with this, I mean, you've gone through one of the most traumatic types of losses that anyone could. You know, for myself, a brother is so much different than losing a child. And what would you say as far as correlating? Because Tara, for those of you listeners who may not know, who are kind of tapping in the first time to our podcast, Tara does this for a full-time living. I have a muggle job, a non-magical job that is my day job. So I think, you know, some of the questions I think our listeners would have is, how do you get back up the next day and do readings for people? Well, not necessarily the next day, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I did though. Mid-July, that's only 2 weeks. I was back at it. And that's such a great question, Nancy, because I get asked it a lot. One of the things that I take things with grace when people say certain things. I know where he is. It doesn't make it better though. Can I say that, everyone? I know where he is. I get the signs. I feel him. I don't need to talk to him. I don't need to have a conversation with him.
it doesn't make it right. He is. Yeah, 100% agree.
All that, what I'm getting is enough for me.
Yeah.
Would I like him here? Absolutely. But the things that have happened, you know, the beautiful people that have come into my space and all of that, I love it. I'm so grateful. I feel he's the biggest hand in all that's happened. Would I change it to have him back? Absolutely. Not gonna lie. I would. But I just need to be where I can feel powerful, because you don't feel powerful in your human self. And I always said, and you know this, I said it because you and I are very close outside of this podcast and the work we do. And I said to you, I need to come at this from my humanness, not from my spirit self, because I can write this off with spirit.
So let me ask you a question. When you say come at this, do you mean processing your grief from your human?
Yeah.
And then compartmentalizing and keeping your mediumship separate?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's what I mean. Because it's in my humanness, I need the experience needs to be valid. I need to validate the experience. If I'm trying to hide from the experience, I'm not doing the work, whatever that work is, whatever the lesson is, and I cannot come up with what the lesson is in this at this point, and I probably never will. But I know that I need to embrace it, and I know I need to work through it. And I know that there's people that still rely on me, and I am fulfilled by being there for people. So when people say, right, how do you get out of bed every morning? I don't actually have a problem with that anymore. There was a few times where you would call me and say, "What are you doing?" I'd say, "I'm not doing anything. Nothing. I'm laying here with the dogs. And I'm just laying here, Nancy, and I'm not going to do a solid thing because I can't."
Yeah.
Those days have actually passed for me. Those ones. But there are moments where the grief is so intense that being able to go into spirit and do the work I do, doing this podcast with you, running my fairs, I've never been as Manny Jenny, manifesting generator as ever since Ryan passed, because that's where I get solace. That's where I can feed my cup by being of service to other people. They're filling my cup.
Healing others heals yourself, right?
Exactly.
And I love that you put it that way, because I feel that's a lot. And we'll get back to Tara in 1 second for those of you kind of cursing my name for hopping in here during her story. But I find that's how I processed a lot of my grief when my brother and father passed, because I was able to compartmentalize it and go, okay, my human needs to heal.
Yeah.
And, like 2 weeks before my father passed, and he had a horrible and very uncomfortable passing, I grieved him so deeply, I took a couple days off work, so that by the time that he did physically transition, I could support my sisters and my mom. But I was blessed, and I was able. He knew he had a chronic wasting disease. He was down to, I think, 80 pounds when he passed.
Wow.
And I had a conversation with him. Is it going to hurt? What's going to happen? Is my dog going to be there? Like all of these questions. How can I show you I'm in heaven? What an incredible gift to give me. Because as much as everyone says, what a great gift you gave your dad, he gave me a gift and then showed me these signs, because it was such a healing beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And so then it was easier when I'm doing a reading for someone who's come through and lost their father, that I can relate, but not sit in my human when I'm doing the reading.
That's right.
Soul part, right?
And your human seeps in a little bit. Someone came down. I was doing a message night with the lovely Ricky Avatan, trance medium healer. We were doing a message night, and all of a sudden I looked at this woman in the front row and I said, "You've lost your son." And he was a teenager. And I thought, oh, sweet Jesus. Everyone in the room
Dead silent.
knew me. Just, Ricky was ramrod straight. She was like, "Oh dear." And I was like, "Oh no." I literally felt that. I felt, oh no. Can I do this? And I remember hearing, of course you can.
Yeah.
You can. So I gave the message, and it was so powerful and so purposeful. And I got teary-eyed and choked up, and I had to take a moment. I had to do all those things. And it's okay. It's okay.
It's funny. My family asks, they know Tara is one of my best friends outside of this. And so how's Tara? I said, you know what? She's not okay, and that's okay.
Yeah, I say that a lot.
Yeah.
I stopped saying I was okay, because I was saying I was okay. Yeah. And then people felt that they had that sigh of relief. Oh, thank God she's okay. And it's true though. I went to a lacrosse game. My son played lacrosse, and I went to a lacrosse game, and I was really hesitant on going. It's one of the first games of my son was playing. He would be in last year of his junior men's league. And so, and he was only 19, so it sounds funny when you say that. But, and when I showed up, I was really hesitant, because Brian's played lacrosse. I've been manager of teams. I've been team moms. I even went with the men to Nanaimo when Ryan couldn't go. I still went and brought Timmy's, and you do the things.
Yeah.
And when I showed up, I instantly saw someone, and I saw them, and it was lovely to see her, but I felt she was uncomfortable with me, and she didn't know what to say.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because people are uncomfortable with grief. They don't know what to say or what to do.
And Brian and I were so close, Oh yeah, I drove her son to lacrosse academy, and so we knew each other very, very well. Um, and so I just kind of, carried the conversation a little bit, and then I closed it off and I moved on. And then we had an easy conversation during the game afterwards, right? So that was good. But here's something, Nancy, that I found really interesting. Clients, it was in the news and everything, so it's not like it's, they were calling me, sending me messages all over the place. It was very overwhelming. But I've now had 3 times in the almost a year that he's been gone that someone has asked me, well, didn't you know this was going to happen? Did you not see this?
But and I don't think that they mean that from a crass.
I don't either.
I feel that a lot of people feel that we are fortune tellers and we know these things, but I can 100% tell any of our listeners out there right now, if we could see our own future and our own lifeline and plan that we have planned out, do you not think Tara and I would both be sitting in a $1 billion mansion with a giant farm that's adjoined that we can ride horses and have 25 goats and we can't see our own future. We can't.
And there are seers out there. There are people who get glimpses of the future, and that's never been my forte in this kind of work I do. But I will say this: I always felt something was going to happen to Ryan, and it's why I was such a helicopter mom with him. Right? I was always, where are you? Even as soon as he got his license, every time I heard a siren, where are you? You okay? It got to the point that after he'd crossed Noella, his girlfriend that was living with us at the time, she would say to me, "Oh, you drove him nuts with that." Drove him nuts, and I thought that was so funny. But I always felt something with Ryan. I always felt that need to be a little more on top of that stuff and whatnot. But again, I think for me, what makes it easier than maybe just someone who doesn't do this work is that I can feel easier. I know what a sign looks like. I know what's not coincidence.
Yeah.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
And because of that, I get more peace.
Yeah.
I get more of those little feelings.
Yeah. So
that's my vision.
Yeah. And granted, Tara's and my experience is just 2 drops in the bucket of how many hundreds of thousands of mediums that are out there and might have very different experiences. But I think, if we can talk at all about it, it's really, because you're right, we do have a little bit more of a feeling. We have a little bit more of trust.
Yes, that's absolutely it. It's the trust of what I'm getting. It's the trust of, okay, that is right. And knowing that it's not a coincidence. The number 10 is big because that was his jersey number. Oh, the weirdest ways that I see the number 10, but it's always with purpose. It's not just like some kid walking by in a number 10.
Right.
Right? A 10 is a big number. I can't remember. It's a soccer number, a huge soccer number. I don't know if it's Messi that... I say his name wrong. Oh, I just felt like I just butchered it. And please, Messi fans, don't come at me if you're watching this. Because I keep saying and I know it's not right. But the big things, you just know there's purpose to it when they come through. But I will say this. Knowing all of that, the heartache is still there. The memories, consistent memories, and there's things I can't do anymore. Like I don't listen very much to music where I used to be huge and into Ryan's music, which no one needs to listen to Ryan's music. But I was really into all of that. Yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot, Nancy.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
We would be the same as any other human out there experiencing loss. And loss is just as significant if your fur baby is your most important thing in the world to your parents, to your best friend, to your child. Everyone's going to experience loss different, and you're all going to experience healing a moment at a time, and then a second, and then a minute, and then 2 minutes, and I'm just going to keep adding until I get to a day, and then 2 days, and then a week.
Yeah.
And it can go that slow because we are a soul having a human experience. We hurt and grieve the loss of the physical as much as anyone else. It's just that we're a little bit more attuned to feeling and trusting what we're seeing with the spirits. When my dad told me that he was going to give me a sign, we went back to Saskatchewan, my husband and I. His mom was ailing. And I went out to this gentleman had a property where his family, he's Indigenous, and it was a healing. They found a healing circle. And I went out with his sisters and my niece, and we went into this healing circle, and we had a meditation, and we had this prayer and this lovely day with like this group of women. And we sat down and we were doing a meditation, and granted, there is no purple butterflies in Saskatchewan, but a single butterfly came into the middle of the circle and sat on my crystal that I put in the middle of the circle, and then flew there and then flew away. And I was like, "Hey, Dad." And I cried. Of course I cried, but my heart, I was like, what a beautiful sign. Thank you. And what a great place to come and visit me. Right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Energetically, I think that the biggest difference is that I trust because I do the work.
Yeah.
I trust the signs. And you know what? And I feel him a lot less than I did when this all first happened. So I understand when people say to me, hey, but it doesn't bother me. Whereas other people, they're like, I don't feel him. I don't feel my father, or I don't feel my husband the way I did before, or my wife. What's happening? And you know, for me, it's okay. For me, it's okay.
I think I get that question a lot because people worry that they're forgetting.
That's right. That's right.
You're not forgetting. It's just that spirit realizes you need to continue to live in your human. You need to continue to live your life. And so they're not visiting as frequently or showing you as much signs, helping you heal as much, because they know you're starting to stand on your 2 feet. And you get stronger each day.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah. There it is. That's how it works. And you know, again, I don't need that. You know, Ryan's words.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that. And I think a part of me, and this is going to sound odd, I think, but a part of me knows how Ryan would talk, what Ryan would say.
Yeah.
And that one person who made a mockery of bringing Ryan through was nowhere near on the mark. And I know that in spirit, translation can be lost in how it comes down, but there's always an essence there.
Yes.
You know, there's always, like, my dad would say that. Oh, I can totally hear him doing that. And I don't want to judge anyone on their messages from Ryan. I don't want to be like, oh, that's not Ryan, or oh, that was Ryan. I don't want to do that. So it's better to be left undone, unsaid. You know, pat my leg, give me a hug, as Tien did at the fair yesterday, pet me. But it's better this way, because I don't want to judge you. And I feel that where my humanness and my spirit are struggling is that aspect of it. Me being able to say, yes, that was him, or no, that was not him. So,
and it's the last thing you need now when you're here, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I know I keep saying, you know, we're a soul living a human experience, but this really is about the journey that we are doing. And as much as, you know, life is meant to be lived, and we're here to live in this human and experience things as uncomfortable as it can be.
Yeah. And again, sorry?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and again, that discomfort is just part of a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had any advice for anyone listening, or one question that we haven't answered that you get all the time, what would it be in closing?
You know, the question that I do get all the time is that it was the one about, you know, at least at least 3 or 4 times people have asked, if I could see it. And I'm going to say this. There's no need for guilt. When someone crosses, whether it's from an illness, a lengthy illness, a short illness, a sudden, here one moment, gone the next, traumatic, all those things, there's always something we will, as humans, think we could have done better, could have done more of. I could have stayed home and not gone to Lillooet. I could have not taken the pit bull and have her be at home. And because this would not have happened if Hannah the Bun was at home, let me tell you. But it doesn't mean I would be not just forestalling it, etc. So it's not to carry the grief. Don't carry the grief, because in some way that's making it about you. And I've never felt guilty about going to Lillooet. I've never felt anything other than, I just miss you, Rye. I miss everything about you. I miss what a pain in the ass you were. If another person tells me he was a good driver, I'm going to choke someone. And I'm not going to sit in grief, or excuse me, guilt. I am sitting in grief, but I'm not going to sit in guilt, because this happened, and so it is.
And love the ones you're with.
All day, every day. The one thing that Ryan did was he told, and one of my best friends, Mel, her son is best friends with Ryan, was best friends with Ryan. And Ryan, they both said it to me. Ryan always said how much she loved us. Hey, love you guys. See you later. Love you guys. See you later. He was very good at the I love yous and the, the good stuff like that. So
Tell the people around that you love them. Love the ones you're with.
oh yeah, you guys really need to go watch your spirit scopes from because you're gonna see the singing aspect of this. Yeah. Seriously, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, and do the things. Can I say that, Nancy?
Yeah, you do.
You save the money. If you want to save the money, but if you're just gonna save it, you don't know. So if you want to go to Japan, inside joke. If you want to go to Japan, go to Japan.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to, drop some money on some fancy bling, do it. Don't wait, because what if tomorrow doesn't come?
That's right.
So Ryan lived a good life. 19 years old, traveled all over the United States playing lacrosse, all over Canada playing lacrosse. His girlfriend, the love of his life, lived with us for 2 years, so he experienced that. Had the car he wanted, sold the car he wanted to get another car. He did the things. And I'm grateful that I'm still paying for the things he did. No guilt now, right?
No guilt.
Nancy, I think we should sign off.
On that note, I think we should. And I love you, Tara. Love all you listeners. Celebrate, love the ones you're with, and we'll see you, or you'll hear us on the next episode.
Yepers. Bye, everyone.